Welcome to the Getting Started video regarding Teacher Connect Gradebook and student attendance system. I'm going to briefly discuss a couple of basic requirements of your computer that will enhance your experience with the Teacher Connect Gradebook. The first thing I'll mention is that we support 3 browsers. The first is Google Chrome version 27 or higher. The second is Internet Explorer 10 or higher, and then the third would be a Safari 6 or higher if you're using a Macintosh workbook. I'll also talk a little bit about system requirements because the Teacher Connect Gradebook runs on your computer's power, on the processing power of your computer, so we'll just quickly go over that. So our minimum requirements for your computer is Windows 7 Professional or Mac OS if you're using a MacBook. And we have a minimum requirement of 2 gigabytes of memory, but we know that you would have a better experience if you have the 4 gigabytes available on your PC. And then the last thing I'll talk briefly about is the Intel processor. The optimum processor that we're looking for is an Intel Core 2 Quad or equivalent. And if you're not sure about your computer's minimum requirements or the hardware in your PC, please discuss this with your technology department. So when you log into the student information system, the first thing you're going to be given by your CSIU administrator is going to be the URL that you'll use. And as you'll see here on my screen, this URL will be used by all districts, and when you log in using your username and password, it's going to direct you right to your district's database. So this URL, like I said, will be given to you by your administrator. You'll also receive a username and a temporary password. The first time you access the student information system, you'll be required to change your password. So we'll start by doing that. Let me also mention, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the setup of the system is because we have a link on this main page that you can use if you have forgotten your password. So in order to use this link, there's just a few steps that we need to cover first, and then once you get your settings done and set up in the system, you can use this link if at any time you forget your password. So after entering your username in the first box and your password in the second box, go ahead and click the Login button. And again, this is the screen you'll see prompting you to change the password. So the first box, you're going to type in your old password, and then you will type in a new password twice and then save those options. Now you'll notice as I click the Login button, the first page I come to are my announcements and events. This page you'll want to come in and check in the morning, especially if your office or your district will be using the announcements to display students that are absent for the day, or any substitute teachers that are in the building. And the second thing you'll notice, and of course that's on the left side of the screen, the second thing you'll notice is we do have an events calendar. So the district administrator has set up a calendar within the system that defines semesters, marking periods, and progress reports. At the top of your screen at any time when you want to come back to this page, you can click on the logo at the top left corner, or you can click on the Home button, and this will return you to this page. Some other things that you can do when you're logged in here is you can change the color of your system background here by selecting one of the colors along this top row. I'd also like to talk to you a little bit about the Help menu, because this is something that you can come out and check for new and updated things as the system continues to be developed, and this is a place where we can find videos like the one you're watching today. So if I would like to launch the help system, I'm just going to click on the question mark. It's going to open an additional dialog box. One of the first things that you'll notice is we have a training schedule here, and so you know, all trainings for the student information systems are at no cost to the district, and they can be attended remotely. So if you're interested in any of these trainings, go ahead and click the register link on the left-hand side. But to get into the help system, once this dialog box is launched, we're going to click on the link on the left side for the Web Student Information System. And when you come into this section, you'll notice we have this split out into parts, different parts of the system. And the thing you'll be interested in is the section on the teacher gradebook. And what I've done is I've clicked on the plus next to the application that I want to expand, and you'll notice when you come in here we have two sections. One section is learning guides, and those are what I would call like a chapter book where you know, how do I set up my gradebook A to Z, kind of goes through every little detail within Teacher Connect. And the second section are quick reference guides, and those are task specific user guides. So if you wanted to know how to post a progress report grade, or you wanted to know how to take attendance, you can come in and use these quick reference guides. And the last section I'll show you in the help is the video section, and in here's where you're going to find things, and of course this is split out into multiple sections, but you'll be interested in the section of gradebook. So you'll see this slowly fill up as we continue to build videos to help you get started with the Teacher Connect. All right. So like I said, we want to talk a little bit first about just doing some basic setup, and you can access that information by clicking on the My Page tab. Now, what you'll notice is when I come into my page, or when I click on my page, I will see sub-menus that I can access. So the first thing I'm going to take you to is under My Page and Preferences. Now when you come into the Preferences, you'll notice I have two red asterisks located on the page, and anytime you see a red asterisk in the system, that means that it's required to save your changes. We don't really use the authentication question and answer anymore, but what you will have to do is fill something in so that we can save the changes on this page. So usually what I tell people is just type a Q in the question and an A in the answer. Now the home page you can select so that when you log into the system, rather than going to the announcements and events page, we would go to the staff schedule views. Right? So if I set that up and I would click on home, it's going to take me right to the schedule that I am teaching today, or my list of classes I'm teaching today. So you can set up your home page. One thing I will also mention is if for some reason you're set up with a classic style view, we recommend that you move over to the modern style view, because eventually this classic version of the student information system will no longer be available. And notice here it says modern style view with left side menu, or modern style with the right side menu. So wherever you would want your third level of menus, either left or right, you can pick either side, but definitely be selected on the modern style. So at this point, once you have your information entered, we'll simply click the save. And what you'll notice here is that they're recorded successfully. We usually get this message within the SIS when we click the save button, so be sure to read it, because if something was missing, you'll want to fill those in so that your changes are saved. But I would also point out here that your changes are reflected the next time you log in. So if you make changes and you want to see those changes, you'll want to log out of the system and then log back in. Two buttons I'd like to discuss. The first one is going to be the change password button, and usually what I mention about this button is if at any time you feel your password's been compromised, you can come into this location under My Page and Preferences, change your password, and then you would type in the old password and the new password twice, just like we did the first time we logged into the system. The last button I'll show you on this page here is that you can change your security questions. So the reason you would want to change your security questions is so that you can use the I forgot my password link. These are required for you to use that link. So if you click the button, you'll see another dialog box opens up, and you'll select 3 questions in the drop down, and notice there's a red asterisk there, so you have to pick your questions and you must fill in an answer. Once this is completed, you will be able to use the I forgot my password link. So I'll save those changes. And again, all of this is located under My Page and Preferences. There are some other options here available for you. One of the things I really want to mention here is under the Web Page. So it's under My Page main tab, Web Page subtab, and the reason I'd like to bring you in here is because if you have an external website, we recommend that you come in and add this add the site here in this location. What this does is when the students or parents log into the portal, and as they view the student schedule, there's a column on the right hand side that they can click on next to the class, next to your class, that will take them directly to your external website. And it's pretty easy to set up. So again, under My Page Web Page, I come in and click on the New button. And you would type in the page name, and then you would type in the URL. And of course you can copy and paste into this external URL. The last thing I'll mention here is the external option. I usually tell people to open it in a new window, and what that will do is when the parent or student clicks on that URL link on their schedule tab, it will leave the portal open and it will launch a new window that will take them directly to your site. So once you enter that information, go ahead and click Save, and then you will see that listed here under the web page. We have some other things that you have access to. One is a document library. This is not a place where you upload documents for students or parents to download to their computer. It's strictly a place that you can think of it as like a portable drive. So if you use, if you want access to your lesson plans, or if you want access to, different information, you can upload documents that are strictly for your usage. And it's pretty simple. You click on the New button, you choose the file on your computer, and then you would upload that information. The last thing we'll talk about here is the personal pages. So under the My Page main tab and under personal pages, I think of this as a traveling favorites bar for me. So anytime you log into the student information system, if you come to My Page personal pages, you'll see a list of all of your favorite URLs. So again, this is a really simple process. You give it a name. Some things like PDE, or if you're using Smartboard lessons, you can come in and add those here. And like I said, any place that you access the student information system, you'll have access to your websites or your personal pages. All right. So the last thing, or the other thing I will talk a little bit about here, is you'll notice that at any point when you're logged in, and I mentioned this previously, if you want to go back to your home page or the announcements and events page, if you click on the logo, it's going to take you back. Now notice that I'm still selected on My Page personal page, but until I click this second level, my screen is not going to change. I'm going to go to the Staff main tab and the Staff Schedule Views. This is where you will see a list of the classes that you're teaching on that day or on the day. I can see today's schedule, I can see this week's schedule, I can see the semester schedule, a list of all of my students that are in my classes throughout the year, and there is a toolkit section. We won't talk about this because this has to do with our classic gradebook settings, but it is still available for you to look at if you'd like. One thing I'd like to also point out here is under today's personal schedule, you do have a calendar selection. So if you teach different classes on different days, you can use this calendar to move to a different day and see your classes for that day. Now, to launch the teacher gradebook, we have two links I'll show you. The first link is here next to the course number, and notice when I hover my mouse over it, it tells me this is the Teacher Connect link. If I use this link, it takes me into my attendance page. If I use the link at the top right corner, it takes me straight into Gradebook. This URL is available for your administrators, the Gradebook link. If you want to use that as your login preference, you can certainly use this URL. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the Teacher Connect Gradebook, and we'll talk about some basic navigation of Gradebook, and then we'll wrap up this video. So you'll notice that when I come into the Gradebook, initially I come into my roster page. Let me maximize my screen here. And you have, as a secondary teacher, typically what you're going to see here is you'll have three buttons. Your roster button, where you can see your class roster, your attendance roster, seating charts, things like that. This will all be done in a separate video, so you can come out and review this at your convenience. The second button is the Gradebook button. So if I want to navigate away from the roster and go to Gradebook, I would click on the Gradebook button, and it will open up the Gradebook. And the third button you will have access to is the Progress Report button. And this is where you would come in to post progress report grades. If you are an elementary teacher or a middle school teacher and you're using standards-based report cards, you'll have a fourth button listed below here, and that button is labeled Learning Standards. We'll also do a separate video on each of these buttons so that you can see how they work in concert with each other. What you'll notice here is at the top of every screen, regardless of the button I have selected, I have Classes drop down that allows me to move back and forth through my classes. You'll notice it gives me my period, the time the period runs, the course name, number, the semesters I'm teaching this course, the days that this course meets, and then the number at the end is the section number of the course. And again, that's available in any of the buttons that you would select here on the side. The last thing I'll point out here is that you also can change years. So if this is your second or third year in the gradebook, you can go back to previous years and look at assignments and grades and things like that. When you are completed or you're done with your gradebook session or your attendance session, you can go ahead and just click the X at the top. And then lastly, and most importantly, I do like to mention this, is make sure that you log out. If you're leaving your desk for a long period of time or you're done for the day, log out of the CSIU so that other people don't have access to student information. Thank you so much for watching my recording. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.